Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Let's Talk. This is your host, El Marie. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. All right, so today we are going to talk about Abraham Lee Shakespeare and Doris Moore, better known as Dee Moore. Abraham Lee Shakespeare was born on April 24th, 1966 in Lakeland, Florida. As a child, school was challenging for Abraham due to his learning disability. With little help from the school, he dropped out in 7th grade. Abraham was functionally illiterate. He got in trouble with the law for driving without a license, unpaid child support, and petty theft. By 1995, Abraham served 2 prison terms. During that same year, he moved with his mom, Elizabeth Walker, which people describe her as a nice and sympathetic woman who loves her son. Due to Abraham's lengthy criminal records, it was difficult for him to find jobs. Abraham worked as housekeeping at a barber shop and as a truck delivery helper for Michael Ford. On November 15, 2006, after a long day of work, the truck driver Michael Ford stopped at a convenience store in First Proof, Florida to buy a couple of items. On his way in, he asked Abraham if he wanted anything from the store, which Abraham requested 2 lotto tickets from a $5 he had in his wallet. On November 17, 2006, Abraham became a millionaire by winning $30 million. He took a lump sum of $16.9 million. After taxes, Abraham received approximately $11 million. Everyone wanted a piece of that money. In April 2007, Abraham was sued by the truck driver and allegedly claimed that Abraham stole the tickets from his wallet. But the jury declined Michael of his allegations and ruled the ticket was purchased solely by Abraham. Despite Abraham's criminal background, people describe him as a kind-hearted, giving person. His attorney volunteered to describe Abraham as a generous, friendly person, but he was surrounded by some folks who did not have his best interests at heart. His mother, Elizabeth, stated that they didn't wait. They just come right after his money. She said that Abraham paid for funerals, gave loans to people, and so much more. In April 2009, his financial manager, Dee Moore, claimed that Abraham went on vacation and decided to travel the world after friends and family haven't heard or seen him for months. Alright, so now we are going to talk about Doris Moore. Okay, so Doris Moore, better known as Dee Moore, was born on July 25th, 1972. She has a son and was married to James Moore in 1992. She ran a nurse staffing agency called American Medical Professionals near Lakeland, Florida. In 2001, Moore was convicted of insurance fraud and falsely reported being carjacked and raped. Officials said she made up the story so her insurance company can reimburse her for her SUV, which she claimed was stolen. She served a year of probation and she filed for bankruptcy in 2002. After her divorce, she met Shar Krasniqi, her 23-year-old boyfriend, in 2006, when she was 11 years older than him. Mysteriously, in October 2008, Dee Moore overheard Abraham good fortune from his realtor at a luncheon and rolled herself to the conversation in her wheelchair after a car accident, which she was suing the company for money. Dee Moore asked the realtor if she can arrange a meeting with Abraham because she wants to write a book about him and she doesn't care for his money. On the day of the meeting, the realtor was shocked to see Dee Moore with her fancy car and her fancy heels and no wheelchair. After the meeting, she convinced Abraham to trust her and charm herself as his financial advisor. Within 4 to 6 months of having met Abraham, Dee Moore secured control over approximately $3.5 million of Abraham's remaining assets. According to Dee, in December of 2008, Abraham gave her $250,000 to pay taxes on his behalf. but the money was tracked to have been transferred to her business payroll and accounting service in January 2009. According to the Diddy Moore 01910 affidavit from January 9th to January 11th, 2009, Abraham signed quitclaims deed to American Medical Professional LLC on many different properties. The deed was recorded between January 13th to February 11, 2009. One of the quitclaim deeds was for the primary home that he paid $1.7 million in 2007. During an interview, Diddy stated that she paid Abraham $500,000 cash for his primary home, which was a lie. From February 9th to February 10th, 2006, Diddy Moore registered and opened a bank account for the Abraham Shakespeare business, which she was the only signor of the account at the time. Diddy started going on vacation, buying herself new cars, and buying her boyfriend a house and living the lavish life. During the month of April, Abraham's family and friends haven't heard or seen Abraham, but Diddy Moore convinced everyone that Abraham is living the good life in the Caribbean. Diddy had Abraham's cousin Cedric send a card and has his friend Greg made a phone call to his mother to pretend that it's Abraham for money. Cedric became suspicious and reported Abraham missing on November 9, 2009. The police started to investigate Diddy Moore for the disappearance of Abraham. To remove the cops from her bag, she had interviews with news outlets and showed a video she made of Abraham wanted to escape, but the cops were not convinced. Let's watch this clip.
Do you get tired of people asking you for money all the time, Abe? Give me your opinion on it.
I've been tired a year ago.
You just ready to start living your life, huh?
They don't take no for an ounce or so. I just let them keep on and keep on acting.
So where do you want to go to?
It don't matter to me. I'm not a picky person.
California? You want a foreign country?
You about ready?
Cozumel?
You about ready?
Yeah. Well, how do you like are you gonna miss your home?
Yep, I miss it, but life goes on.
In an interview, Abraham's mother said she hopes her son is somewhere in the Caribbean and doing well. And she stated in a quote, "I feel like running away somewhere. I don't know what happened to my son. I can hardly concentrate on anything else." Unfortunately, on January 28, 2010, Abraham's body was found 9 feet under a concrete slab with 2 bullet holes in his body at Diddy's boyfriend's house, which had nothing to do with Abraham's death. Diddy blamed everyone else but herself, including her 14-year-old son, of committing the crime. Later on, she tried to convince prosecutors it was self-defense for her crime. On December 10, 2012, she managed to escape the death penalty and was convicted of first-degree murder. Alright, so I want to show you guys a few clips that I put together of this whole story.
You'll hear a lot of stories in Greg Smith's barbershop, but you've never heard one quite like this. A hair-raising tale worthy of Shakespeare himself. In fact, it even begins with a man named Shakespeare. 43-year-old Abraham Shakespeare works odd jobs at Greg's barbershop in Lakeland, Florida, about 40 miles east of Tampa.
And you were friends with Abraham?
Very much. He was a cleanup guy at my barbershop.
Until one day, Abraham stops coming to work.
A couple weeks passed, and I ain't see him. So I was like, man, where's Abraham at? So I called him. I was like, man, did you come in and clean the bathrooms? You ain't cleaned the outside yet? He said, I hit the lottery.
Greg thinks Shakespeare is merely being theatrical, but it's true. He is the lucky winner of a whopping $30 million.
I was standing in the front of the barbershop cutting hair, and I could see right out of my door. I seen this black BMW pull up. I'm like, who in the devil is that? It's like, man, I hit the lottery.
Abraham takes one lump sum of $17 million instead of yearly payments on the winnings. He buys a $1.1 million home in a gated community near Lakeland and some new cars. But he also proves to be a generous sort. In fact, he's a guy who can't seem to say no, loaning out money left and right.
He did it out of goodness of his heart. A whole lot of them took advantage of it. But you know what? He gave it to them. They didn't take it. He gave it to them.
He even insists on helping out his old boss, Greg Smith, loaning him $63,000 after his mother's house goes into default.
I didn't want to borrow no money from Abraham. I had gone to the bank, mid-Florida, and gotten a loan. He actually left first and went and got a cashier's check with my name on it. I say, but before I do that, I need to get with my accountant and we draw some papers up so we do it official. Because I'm going to do you the same way I was going to do the bank.
But Shakespeare is ill-equipped to handle his newfound wealth. He cannot read or write and knows nothing about investing. 11 months after winning the lottery, Shakespeare meets a woman named Dee Dee Moore. She runs a successful nurse staffing agency near Lakeland and also tells Shakespeare she wants to write a book about him and help him manage his money.
She was taking over.
About that time, Shakespeare's friends realized they haven't seen him in a while. Dee Dee tells them that he's laying low and wants to get away from the constant pressure of people looking for money.
What is Dee Dee telling you?
He's on vacation, he's in Miami, he's in Texas, he's on a cruise, he's over helping the people in Haiti. He can't get back across because of the earthquake.
A cousin of Shakespeare becomes suspicious. He files a missing persons report with the sheriff's office. Dee Dee is now on police radar, and they want to talk to her.
They basically were able to determine through cell phone work and just surveillance that obviously Dee Dee Moore had something to do with the disappearance of Abraham Shakespeare.
Dee Dee turns to Abraham's good old friend, Greg the barber, for help.
She's crying. I'm like, what's wrong with you? She was like, everybody think I did something to Abraham and this and that. I said, well, listen, did you? No, Abraham's on his way back.
And then she makes such an incredible request that to this day, Greg wonders how he could have gone along with it. But he does.
She said, listen, I need you to do me a favor, to buy me some time till Abraham come back. Can you tell Abraham, mother, that I'm okay? I said, I'm okay. I want you to pretend to be Abraham. I said, man, I don't know. She said, I tell you what, I'll give you $300 to make the phone call. I said, okay, $300? Yeah, I'll make a phone call and say you okay. I'm not thinking something wrong with him. At worst, he done went and hid from Dee Dee. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, Abraham tired of you, he done went and hid from you.
But he's getting more suspicious by the day.
I called Abraham, hey man, call me.
And he wasn't calling you back.
Never called back. Then I got this text, I'll call you in a little while. So I'm looking at the text, I'm like, something ain't right.
And Abraham had a 7th grade education.
He don't even know how to spell.
He can't text, he can't spell.
No.
And now it looks like Greg Smith is on the cops' radar too. They catch up with him after they observe Dee Dee handing him $300 for making that phone call to Abraham's mother.
They jumped out the car, they was like, put your hands on the car. I said, hold on, dude. What did I do?
At first, it looks like the barber has been taking a little off the top, but cops have an incredible request of their own.
At that point, the investigators told Greg Smith that Abraham had been reported as a missing individual, and he had the option of assisting them with their investigation.
He said, we got suspicions that this woman has did something to Abraham. We need some help.
With that meeting, it became pretty evident to Greg Smith that there's a lot more going on than what Dee Dee Moore was telling him initially.
Greg must decide whether to be or not to be an undercover informant in the investigation of Abraham Shakespeare's disappearance. The decision is an easy one.
Listen, this dude bailed me out of a $63,000 debt. He's my friend. He helped me when nobody else would.
Police fit Greg with a body wire for his next meeting with Dee Dee Moore, who befriended Abraham and took control of his newfound fortune. But that's not the barber's style. He's already uncomfortable with the arrangement.
Dee Dee Moore was trying to see was I wired up one day, and she grabbed me, and I told her, hey, get your hands off me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, matter of fact, get out my car. You don't trust me, I don't trust you. Get out my car. I'm scared to death because I think she done touched it. They was trying to make me be a leader. Trying to make me force her to do this and force her to do that. I told them no. I'm from the streets. I know how to do this.
Greg came up with a better idea. Believe it or not, it hit him when he was drinking his daily can of Red Bull.
I took the Red Bull can and I shaved the top of it off so that the inside cap will pop open. I took a small recorder and set inside of it and put styrofoam in it so it wouldn't move, so it felt like something in the can.
He places the can in the center console cup holder.
I was smoking cigarettes, so I would use the top of it. It's like I was dumping ashes in a Red Bull can. I was like, that was my ashtray. The whole time, it was my recording device.
What follows is an actual undercover audio captured on Greg's one-of-a-kind Red Bull recording device.
I only been talking to you because I'm trying to find Abraham.
Exactly. Well, hey, I'm all in, baby.
I feel like if Abraham was okay, he would contact me by now because he transferred all that stuff into my name, and then he was supposed to leave and, you know, not come back for a while.
She starts telling Greg about a character named Ronald.
She's making up an imaginary guy.
Ronald was crazy. Ronald was the guy that she was trying to say that was threatening her and actually was a drug dealer that possibly killed Abraham.
I guarantee you, Ronald has killed him. I just know it because the man threatened to kill my son. I don't even know Ronald's last name.
And that's where it goes into the part of the investigation where she's seeking somebody that's looking at a significant prison sentence to take the rap for Abraham Shakespeare's disappearance and murder.
Taking their cue from Dee Dee's script for a Shakespeare cover story, cops bring in a new actor onto the stage.
That then puts in motion utilizing a covert officer to play the part of an individual about to be sentenced to a lengthy prison term. She's asking him to remove the body of Abraham Shakespeare, dispose of it, and then once he begins his prison sentence, to basically admit to the homicide.
And then, what do you want?
50 grand.
Can I do it in payments? Because I don't have that kind of cash. I'm going to have to sell something.
I'm gonna need 10 up front. Once I do this, make sure my boy get the money.
Okay.
See, what I'll do is I'll get it and give it to his mama.
The undercover fall guy agrees to the deal for $50,000 to be paid to his family after he goes to jail. Dee Dee knows a deal when she sees one, but there's one more thing cops want in the bargain.
Basically advises Dee Dee Moore that he will need some form of evidence to convince the investigators that he is the perpetrator of the crime.
It's been a gut-wrenching saga for Greg the barber. His friend and employee, Abraham Shakespeare, goes missing after winning millions in the lottery. Now, Greg is working undercover for the police, trying to get justice for his pal. And when Dee Dee Moore tells him she needs to set somebody up for the murder of Shakespeare, his worst fears for his friend are confirmed.
It made me feel like, okay, the mission's not over. It's not complete.
It had to be heartbreaking to learn that Abraham was in fact dead.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking, but at the same time, it was a blessing to be able to help him out like he helped me.
But Greg has to keep it together. The trap has been set, with an undercover cop posing as a man willing to take the rap for killing Shakespeare. All Greg needs to get is the murder weapon from Dee Dee. And police add one more thing to their wish list. They also want Greg to get her to tell him where the body is buried.
Shit, I tell her, listen, if we gonna convict this guy, let me get the gun. If you got it, I ain't saying you got it, but if you got it, if you know who got it, bring me the gun that killed him so we can pin it on him.
So she turns this gun over to you.
Then she tells me about where Abraham is buried at.
Dee Dee takes Greg to a property she owns in nearby Plant City, Florida, and points out a big fresh slab of concrete in the yard.
When she took me to the body, we had a piece of rebar iron that was over by the concrete. I told her, I said, listen, I'm not gonna get out the truck because I don't want nobody to see us together. What I want you to do is take that piece of steel and go set it on the concrete where his body's buried.
That same day, police move in to take over. More than 9 months since he was last seen alive, the body of Abraham Shakespeare is recovered at last. and Dee Dee Moore is arrested.
Well, I hope you're still gonna look for the people like me.
Well, I've got one of them in my hands right now.
It appears that they probably got into some type of disagreement over his money. It appears that she placed 2 rounds in his abdominal region and chest region.
Police say that Moore had her ex-husband dig a hole with a backhoe, telling him only that she needed a pit to burn trash. They say Dee Dee dumped the body herself, then hired a contractor who unknowingly covered it with concrete. Remember Ronald, the character she made up? A drug dealer who was threatening her?
You were able to contact Ronald, and Ronald told you right where that body was at. Really? But you can't get a hold of Ronald, but you got a hold of Ronald then. Come on, it's over.
I told him I had to
Dee
meet him
Dee.
back later to make sure.
Dee Dee, there's no Ronald.
And then she went on to another statement blaming her son, who was 14 years old at the time, that actually shot and killed Abraham Shakespeare at her office.
She is found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Abraham left behind 2 sons. All his remaining assets were returned back to his family. And also, if you guys are interested in some of the articles that I read, I will post the links in my description box. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.